What's up, guys? Good afternoon, and I want to take a quick little video here to talk a little bit more about the Pro Bowl. So I guess I lied earlier when I said I was going to take one video. At the time of me recording that video, we didn't have information about the Pro Bowl alternates, and there were a bunch of Seahawks in this group, so I want to take a moment to at least shout them out. I said in my previous video that I didn't really care about the Pro Bowl that much, so I really don't care that much about the Pro Bowl alternates, to be perfectly honest. In fact, I think the alternates are a big reason why the Pro Bowl has become such an invalid way to judge who the best players actually are. Because you do have so many players who sit it out and a bunch of players who are alternates who get in, they get forever remembered as a Pro Bowler that year, even though they may have been the 6th or 7th or 8th best player at their position in that season, even in their conference, because that's just the way it goes sometimes. But nevertheless, I think it is cool to honor individual players who are playing really well. And I do want to take a couple minutes to at least break this down and how I feel about who we got as Pro Bowl alternates. So let's dive in, just spend a little bit of time here, and then we get to wash our hands of the Pro Bowl forever. Well, until next year. So I got this tweet from the official Seattle Seahawks Twitter account. We have 8 Pro Bowl alternates. Let's pound through them real quick. We got Nick Bellore, which, I mean, our special teams have been pretty good this year, I guess. So, sure. I think that the special team stuff, who gets voted into the Pro Bowl as a special teamer, that's kind of just a pure popularity contest. Whoever runs the best social media campaign to get votes ends up winning. So that's kind of whatever. But good for Bellore. He's made it before. He's making it again. Hopefully, it doesn't make Carroll think it's a good idea to bring him back next year on that contract. But good for Nick Bellore. Jordan Brooks, Pro Bowl alternate. Honestly, I think Brooks has been better this year than Wagner, and I love Wagner, but to be straight honest, I think that we owe more of our success this year to Brooks than Wagner. Obviously, they're both part of a pretty bad defense, but overall, I do think that Jordan Brooks has been a really good part of this defense. His coverage has been much better this year. He's not been getting lit up in coverage at all, really. He's been effective as a pass rusher. He's been pretty effective against the run. He's been the player that we thought we were getting in the first round all those years ago. It's a little too late for me to get that excited about it, but for this one season, I think Jordan Brooks has played really well and he deserves to be a Pro Bowl alternate. So I'm on board with that. And then we got Michael Dickson, who offhand, I gotta say this. If there's a Pro Bowl snub on this Seahawks team, it is probably Mr. Dickson himself. Not making the Pro Bowl when you're doing the things that Michael Dickson is doing is pretty criminal. He, to my eye, to my evaluation, he is at least a top 2 punter in the NFL right now, and probably number 1. He is an absolute wizard at doing his job in the NFL. And to me, the fact that he can't even make the Pro Bowl roster is tough. And it probably also means he's not making the All-Pro team, which he really does deserve, or at least not first team. Maybe he'll make second team, but the fact that Michael Dickson can't get on the Pro Bowl team, but Julian Love does, feels pretty backwards to me. I gotta be honest. Like, Michael Dickson should have at least been on the Pro Bowl team for the NFC, at the very least. So we'll see what the All-Pro team does, but Dickson is doing some historically good stuff as a punter. Not just like the best punter in the league for this year, but he is pushing towards being one of the best punters of all time. Quandre Diggs, I mean, that one's tough, right? Like, that one's tough. Quandre Diggs has still been relatively solid in terms of preventing completions, preventing stuff happening in coverage. But the tackling has gotten out of hand. The defense that he's a part of hasn't really been good. They're giving up big plays this year, which is supposed to be Quandre Diggs' thing, right? Quandre Diggs prevents big plays. He's not taking the ball away. I don't know about this one. Like, if Quandre Diggs goes to the Pro Bowl over Antoine Winfield Jr., that's very suspect. I'm just gonna say that right now. So, obviously he's an alternate. So, what is an alternate really worth at the end of the day? But I gotta believe there's somebody out there who's doing their job a little bit better than Quandre, so I'm not super into this one. Just trying to be honest here. So yeah, I would say you probably could have done a little better than that, NFL. Boye Mafe definitely deserved this one. He borderline Pro Bowler, period. 9 sacks, good pressure rate, had some really dominant games this year, and he was doing it kind of with a little bit of a handicap because of the Nwosu situation, which bumped him up the depth chart and made him have to play pretty much the whole game for a lot of these weeks over the past couple months because we just haven't had the edge rusher depth to really support him. So Mafe, he's played fairly well against the run as well. He's been a consistent threat as a pass rusher. He's in some games been our only edge rusher threat as a pass rusher. And I would not have been surprised if he made the Pro Bowl, period. But as a Pro Bowl alternate, he's definitely on the right path. I dig it. I like it. Good for Boye Mafe. If he can keep this up, if he grows again next year the way he did this year, watch out. We might be looking at a future All-Pro. And I know that might sound crazy from where we were a year ago, but it's on the table. Also had DK Metcalf, which, I mean, that makes sense, right? We don't feed him the ball enough for him to really make, like, all-pro teams and Pro Bowls right now. But as an alternate, yeah, he's been very efficient this year. This has been one of his better seasons of his career, I think. His drops are down. He's a great blocker, which we always talk about around here. I value that stuff. His statistical shortcomings are mostly because of the offense, not because of anything that he's doing, really. He's not really dropping that many passes compared to other receivers out there. He's not really having route running problems compared to, I mean, he doesn't run the best routes in the league, right? He doesn't run routes the way Cooper Kupp does, but he's running routes fine at this point. So definitely deserving of being a Pro Bowl alternate. Some people were saying he should have made the Pro Bowl outright. I think if you look at the guys who did make it, they probably all deserve it more than Metcalf. But Metcalf deserves to be honored in some way for the season that he has had. Geno Smith made the alternate list as well, which makes a good deal of sense to me. I think he's actually been playing great lately. Overall, I still think he's played pretty well this season. I know it's not as good as last year, but there are extenuating circumstances that have very little to do with Geno Smith. I think that he is probably, even this year, like with the way quarterback play has been down this year, even with some of his not so great performances, not so great moments, he's probably around that top 10 quarterback conversation. And I know some people don't want to hear that. I know some people aren't into hearing that. But realistically, if you compare Geno Smith to other quarterbacks out there, right now, he's probably in that area. So he's got a chance to make the Pro Bowl depending on who sits out the Pro Bowl. So if he does get to go, have a good time. And we'll see you next year. And with any kind of semblance of an offensive line, you're going to be a lot better. So good to see him getting some respect. Final Pro Bowl alternate for the Seahawks is Ken Walker III. And this is another guy who, it's not him, it's the situation. He would put up dominant numbers if you could only give him a little bit of a better team that would allow him to try to run the clock out at the end of games, be able to get him the ball more because they have longer possessions, a defense that can get off the field and get the ball back to the offense. All these things that we're not doing right now would make Ken Walker probably an all-pro running back. But as of right now, he can't even make the Pro Bowl, not because of anything he's doing, but because of what we're doing as a team in terms of not being able to get him the ball enough and then not blocking for him when he does get the ball. So, like Geno, like Metcalf, glad to see him honored in some way because he deserves at least that. Because it's not his fault if we can't build the ideal circumstances around him because of other things going on with this team. All right, so those are your Pro Bowl alternates from the Seahawks. We had 8 of them. I'll see you guys later. Stream later tonight. Go Hawks.